Our topic today, inshallah, about the birr al-walidain, or parents-children relationship. In the human relations, birr al-walidain, or being kind to the parents and respect of parents, take the top priority of the in the ladder of human relationships. The top priority is the respecting of parents. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the authority, the first authority of human being over any other human being, to the parents. Adam and Eve, they didn't have a country to rule. The first authority Allah given to any human being is over their own children. And that's the case. The first form of authority the children experienced in their life is the authority of parents. Therefore, this dynamic of relationship between parents and children take a very important place in Islam. Today, in America, they have fatherhood initiatives. They have single mothers initiative. Everyone realizes the importance of this relationship. If we like to examine what Qur'an al-Kareem said and the Sirah of Rasulullah mentioned and the Sunnah of Rasulullah, we will see that there's a great emphasis on this relationship. Anyone sitting here has parents. I'm saying everyone, I made a statement. Everyone sitting here has parents. Am I correct? Whether your parents are alive or dead, there is still you have a parent. You have parents. Therefore, this subject is concerned everyone sitting here. Therefore, there is no person who's sitting in this room, that subject does not concern them. You know, some people say this subject is not for me about marriage. You know, I'm not ready to get married. I'm safe. And then, or people say, this issue about having children and I don't have children, therefore it doesn't concern me. Therefore, but this topic is concern every person sitting here, of parents, okay, and how to deal with them, and also every one of us is a child of a parent. That is we have to not only look to the respect to our parents, but how can improve our relationship and level of communication with them. And if you happen to be a parent sitting in this class, also that concerns you, because also we're going to address the issue of how parents should deal with the children. The word bir, you hear this, there's a lot of word birr al-walidain, word bir. Do you know what bir means in Arabic? The word bir means righteousness. Righteousness, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Qur'an, ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says righteousness is not to turn your face toward the east or to west, but to believe Allah and Day of Judgment and angels and the prophets and the books, and to bring to give money for those who are in need. Therefore, bir is a very important word in Arabic, in Islam. Rasulullah also said, al-birru husn al-khuluq. Bir, righteousness, it means the best moral conduct. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word bir in dealing with non-Muslim. Even, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم. Allah will not forbid for you, or make it forbidden for you, to be kind to those who don't believe, or those who do not accept what you believe, as long as they have not driven you out of your home. Did not fight you, or did not drive you out of your homes. As long as they have not done that, be kind to them. It's called bir. Therefore, bir, it is a concept, a principle in Islam of kindness. Okay? Bir of anyone means to be kind to them. Bir al-walidain means to be kind to our parents, not only kindness, but to treat them in the most respectful manner. That's called bir. To take care of them in every aspect. The principles of bir al-walidain being listed by a great scholar, his name Qurtubi, in his tafsir. He come to some points or conclusions. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to worship Him alone, and He connected His worshipping, or worshiping Him alone, to being kind to our parents. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have ordered that to worship none but Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be kind to your parents. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And ihsan in Arabic means treat someone with almost kindness, with the maximum kindness, with the best way of treatment. قَضَى رَبُّكَ لَا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. Allah said, don't worship anyone but me. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And be kind to your parents. And that's why being ungrateful to the parents is considered being ungrateful to Allah. And ungrateful to what they have done for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Qur'an, أَنْ أَشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. Say, being grateful to me, and being grateful to your parents, and to me, or for me, or to me will be the return. إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرُ. Therefore, it is a very important relationship. And very interesting in the Qur'an. Qur'an spoke about concept of parenthood in a beautiful way. He talks about the concept of being mother and concept of being a child, a righteous child, and of being a father. Look to the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا يحيى خذ الكتاب بقوة وآتيناه الحكم الصبية وحنانا من لدنا وزكاة وكان تقيا وبرا بوالديه ولم يكن جبارا عصيا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about Yahya. He said, oh Yahya, take this book by strength, by power, seriously. خذ الكتاب بقوة وحنانا من لدنا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, with kindness from us, وزكاة and purification, وكان تقيا, and he was a righteous man. وبرا بوالديه, and he was kind to his parents. Talking about Yahya. ولم يكن جبارا عصيا, and he was not a harsh person. جبارا عصيا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in Quran about Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam says, وَاجْعَلْنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا. He said, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made me being blessed, wherever I may be, أينما كنت وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا. And Allah ordered me to do zakah and prayer, and as long as I live. By the way, those verses, they are not in your note. As Fatima noticed that in Roman. Okay? That he says, Isa alayhi salam, he telling the people what his duty is, and tell them what kind of character he has. He said, قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب. He said, I am the servant of Allah. He gave me the book. وجعلني مباركا. and he made me be blessed or blessed me, whatever it may be. أينما كنت وأوصاني, he ordered me to pray, was zakah, and to pay charity or alms given, ما دمت حيا, as long as I live. وبرا بوالدتي, and he made me kind to my mother, being able to take care of my mother. وبرا بوالدتي ولم يجعلني جبارا شقيا, and Allah did not make me jabbar, a person who been harsh, and shaqiya, a person who been deprived from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, as you see here, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praising prophets by the characteristic of being kind to their parents, Isa alayhi salam and Yahya alayhi salam. And Allah also says in Qur'an, وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ, we have taken the oath and the pledge from the children of Israel, لا تعبدون إلا الله, worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and be kind to your parents. وَذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, and be kind to their kinship, your relative, your family. وَالْيَتَامَى, the orphans. وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, the needy. وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, and speak righteous and nice to people. وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and establish prayer. وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, and pay, establish alms given or charity. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ مُعْرِضُونَ, and many of you have turned their back except a few among you. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in this ayat that He took a pledge, an oath from the children of Israel to worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا تعبدون إلا الله. Immediately, even before Salah, said, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and be kind to your parents. And no matter how much problem we have with our parents, if you are married, you have children or about to have children, you're going to be a parent. Therefore, you want your children to treat you with kindness. Therefore, we come to appreciate these verses twice. One time when we are the children of someone, one time that when we are the parent of someone. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another ayah, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ لَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and be kind to your parents. Then Allah lists the other level of relationship, وَبِذُو الْقُرْبَى, with your kinship, وَالْيَتَامَى, and the orphan, وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, the needy, وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى, and the neighbor that is relative to you, وَالْجَارُ الْجُنُبِ, and your next neighbor, وَابْنُ السَّبِيلِ, and the person is warfare who passed by and traveling, a traveling person, وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, and those who possess of your right hand, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ مُخْتَالًا فَخُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put all of this in order. قُلْ تَعَالُوا أَتْلُوا مَا حَرَّمَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَيْكُمْ أَلَّا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, let me come and let me tell you what are the things Allah made prohibited on you. Don't commit any shirk, and be kind to your parents. Therefore, there's a great emphasis in Islam in this relationship with parents. Why? The collapse in family structures take place when there is no any kind of connection between children and their parents. And there is no any kind of respect between children and parents. And that's how these structures of family collapse. Therefore, it is important for us today as Muslims to set up the model, the examples for others of the way that how we treat our own parents. Whether they're alive, and even if they have passed away, there's certain things I'm going to mention, how we can maintain a good relationship with them even after they have died. Therefore, Al-Qurtubi rahimahullah says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered to worship Him alone, and He connected being kind to our parents with worshiping Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala consider being grateful to Him as being grateful to the parents. He says, أَنْ أَشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ إِلَيَّ الْمَصِيرِ. Be grateful to me and to your parents. And to me, as a return, I said that before, why? If a person does not recognize what their parents have done for them and appreciate anything, a child will say to his parent, you have done nothing for me, especially to the mother. I said, Ya akhi, before you open your mouth, you should not ever say that. You know, you might be angry with your mother, disagree with your mother, but you cannot say that you have not done any good for me. The fact that somebody carried you for 9 months, they have done something for you. The fact that they went through a pain of delivery, they have done something for you. The time that they have really cleaned all the mess after you, they have done something for you. Therefore, we should not be arrogant and tell someone you have nothing. And that's why Rasulullah said, لا يشكر الله من لا يشكر الناس. He said, no one will be able to be grateful to Allah if that he or she not being grateful to people. Therefore, a person who deny people anything that have done, any good they have done, they are not being grateful. لا يشكر الله من لا يشكر الناس. You know the verses here. وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه بالوالدين إحسانا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe why you should be kind to your parents. And he mentioned, especially when he comes to talk about the mother, he said because his mother have carried him with this hardship and difficulties. Brothers, have you tried to get like 5 pounds, anything 5 pounds, and tie it to your stomach, and try to drive the car with it and eat and sleep and kind of things, and try to move in your bed with 9 pounds things in your stomach? Have you tried that? Try it for 2 days, 3 days, you come to appreciate what your mother have done for you. Because we don't realize how much we need to appreciate that. Of what our mothers have done for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and حملته أمه كرها ووضعته كرها. His mother carried him in hardship and delivered him in hardship. وحمله وفصاله 30 شهرا, and the haml and the time that they wean the child is 30 months. 30 months. Who knows what is the Imam Ali analogy when a lady came and she delivered a child in 6 months, and her husband said, this is not my child. And Umar ibn Khattab questioned the lady, and Ali ibn Talib said, this is possible. What happened? You know? What analogy Imam Ali said that this could happen? Do you know? What did he say? Just to give you a tip here, that to look to the Qur'an deeply. And 30 months of pregnancy and delivering the child, and nursing the child, breastfeeding the child. And the Quran says, حمله وفصاله 30 شهرا. And he says in the other ayah, والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين. He said, and breastfeeding mother should breastfeed their children for how much? 2 years. And we have business people here that 24 months minus 30 months is 6 months. And he said to Imam Ali said to Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he said, this is possible. And Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu said, I wish not to live in any city where Ali is not in it. Yeah. But the fact that Quran talks about this 2 years of being breastfed the child by the mother, and the 9 months of carrying the child, and yet we ask ourselves, what kind of relationship we have with our mothers? Are we paying them enough for what they have done for us? Are we being grateful for what someone have done for us? Or humans sometimes are arrogant. We think that it started the way we are, and we come to life the way we are. Every time that I think a child, any one of us, being ungrateful to their parents, you have to remember that there's a great deal went through this raising us and brought us where we are. when a child has a fever, their parents stay up night. The father gets worried, the mother gets worried, and the tension went to the house because a child is sick. And yet, when the child grow up a little bit and become 14, 15, 16, and I was speaking to the young people, I know we have very good people here at Adams, your youth, but it's just a reminder that sometimes we think that, you know, disrespecting parents is fine. But we have to be careful of that. And the Qur'an al-Kareem also, in Qurtubi here explaining it, a man said to Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what's the best deeds, the best action I can do? Rasul sallallahu said, pray on time, salah ala waqtiha. And he said, what next? He didn't say zakah. He said, be kind to your parents. Salah and being kind to your parents. Therefore, it is important for us, if we have a problem with our parents, it's our time to work on it. And we're going to tell you, inshallah, some tips to how to do that. The way that we talk to our parents, sometimes we talk to our parents as to talk to our peer, don't we? I don't like that. You know, or give your parents your back, or say, what do you think? What, this is not nice. This is not wise. You don't think? I see some people talk to their parents like that. Don't you think? Don't do this. Don't, no matter what. You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam, his father was kafir. Look to what he said. Ya abati la ta'budu shaytan. Oh my dear father, ya abati, don't worship shaytan. You know, he talking to my dear father. Ya abati, ya abati, ya abati. And the father was making idols. Therefore, we have to be careful of how we talk. Qur'an al-Kareem said, وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. Don't say, uff, like that. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا, and don't curse them or shout at them. Say, get out of my face. Don't. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. Say to them nice things. Because this khuluq al-Muslim, this is the moral conduct of a believers, that to humble themselves and to be grateful to the parents. Sometimes, because we think that we have more education, maybe your parents have a bachelor and now we started having PhD, that means our parents, they don't know that much, or disrespecting them, or even our attitude toward them, the way that we look at them, the way that we talk to them, we say that I'm educated more than you. I know more than you do. And a person become even shameful of their parents because sometimes he become associated with social status. I have seen people that would ask their parents, I have some guests coming, please don't come with us. You know, become shameful. They don't want like the people to see their parents because maybe their parents are not the same level. If a person does this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will humiliate them in this life before the life to come. Take it from me. We take this because this fake honoring and dishonoring the parents, a person wants to elevate themselves above their parents, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will humiliate them. Therefore, a person should not ever be shameful of, you know, if their parents have different social status, now he makes some money, now, or he thinks that he's educated, his parents do not speak fluent English, you know, therefore you are shameful, you don't like to introduce them to your classmates in the school, because my parents, you know, and or, I'm going to speak now to second generation Muslim, first generation Muslim in America. They think that because their parents come from overseas, I call them migrant Muslims, their parents know nothing. And we know it all. Very annoyed with their parents. You should not do that. That attitude is not acceptable. But Islam encourages communication between parents and children. And we'll speak about the culture. And one of the sisters made me a very good point, I'm making it here, that sometimes the culture clashes. How we can maintain that. And how from the Quranic perspective, from the Sunnah of Rasulullah can address the issue where there's a misunderstanding because the environment the children grow up in. And what the parents need to do to understand where the children come from. because they don't exist in the same culture and the same environment, the environment and the culture they come from. Therefore, it is important for us not to think because we have some education and we come having some degrees or have some money that we look down to our parents. The other things that Imam Qurtubi said, and here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the way, he's using this ayah, an act of kindness lower to them the wing of humility. وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمْ جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ, and say, my Lord, bestow on them the mercy even as they cherished me in my childhood. وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمْ جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Say, oh Allah, bestow your mercy upon them as they have been kind to me when I was little. Lower the wing. You know what that is? Because sometimes when you, and very interesting in the Qur'an, janah. You know what the Qur'an say, janah? Qur'an drawing an analogy here. What happened, Sister Afifa, you are a school teacher, that a bird, small birds, the mother feed the children, the birds, small birds, until the birds what? Have their own wings to fly. The minute that the bird fly, that doesn't mean that the mother is not good, because now I have my own wings. But the minute you are in need, they're good parents as long as they pay the bills. The minute that I pay my own bills, you know, out of the door. You're not good. See you next year. That's not good. That's why the Quran said, وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمْ جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. Humble the wing of humility. Don't think that you can fly now, and don't forget about your own parents. Because of them, that you were fed and had your wing becoming strong. The degree you have, the physical, even the body that you have, they have done a lot to make who you are. Therefore, this is very important for us to think of it. A person has to be kind to their parents even if they disagree in principle of faith, belief. If the parents are kafirs, I'm using now the word that people said, my parents, I hear so many people, it just disturbs me. Brother, my parents, kafir parents, I have kafir parents. I said, brother, you know, said my parents, you know, they're not Muslims and so forth. Because the way they talk about their parents like nothing, trash. I said, don't do that. Even if a parents having this, you know, they ask the child and they persist, they want after the child to change the principle of their faith, say, don't wear hijab, or, you know, don't go to masjid too much, or don't pray 5 times a day. Parents asking the child to do something that is disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The child should not disrespect the parents still. Disagree with them, said, parents, my father, my mother, prayer, I'm not going to give up prayer. But still I'm going to be kind to you. وإن جاهداك على أن تشرك ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما. If they insist and persist, have you to commit shirk, don't obey them. Stopped here? No. فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا. And be kind to them in this dunya. Yet, Quran says, they ask you that, be kind to them. You know what? Abu Sufyan ibn Harb, his daughter married to whom? To Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The daughter was Muslim, the father was not Muslim, the mother was not Muslim. The mother came to visit her. She said, Ya Rasulullah, my mother came to see me. What should I do? He said, be kind to your mother. Welcome your mother to your home. And unfortunately, some people in America, they stand in the minbar, speaking to people revert to Islam in this country, and tell them part of wala and bara, which is misconception and misunderstanding. Don't greet non-Muslims. Don't be nice to them. Even if it's your parents, cut them off. And alhamdulillah, it happened one of the brother went to a masjid and he's speaking to a masjid of our people revert to Islam. He said to them like wala and bara, and he asked them to make war in their house when they leave the masjid. Go and kick your parents out. Don't talk to them. But alhamdulillah, he did not finish the khutbah because they kick him out during the khutbah. But nonsense. It's not good. You cannot wage war in people's homes. You cannot do that. It's not acceptable. And people should reject that, should refuse that, should not accept this kind of teaching of person want people to fight their own families, to not to be kind to them. And you know the verse there? Also take care of your parents in their old age. Unfortunately, it is becoming a custom in America that is if they are too old, we are too busy to take care of them. They have to put them in a place where we don't have to see them, and send them a card once a year for the Mother Day and Father Day. You know, subhanAllah, I used to live in apartment buildings in Maryland, across the street from a nursing home. And they put something in our boxes. They said that across the street, nursing home, they're asking for people, you know, to come to adopt an elderly person to be able to talk to them. Of course, they screen you, what's called security clearance, before they have you to be able to talk to those people. And it's good, so that no one take advantage of those elderly people. We go there, and I get, it happened that I become connected with this old lady. And subhanAllah, she will, if I miss the call, if I didn't call her, and I said, I'm going to call you every Tuesday and every Wednesday. I late half an hour, she picked up the phone, she said, where are you? Just like I'm her own son, like screaming at me. Where are you? What happened to you? And I come to know that her children live in other states. And they send her like Christmas cards once in a while and other things like that. She said, all I need from them is somebody just to talk to me on the phone. Somebody to make me a feeling of alive, still I'm alive. I'm not dead yet. I want that connection. And it's really something that makes your heart, soften your heart. That there's so many elderly people feel being neglected today and feel lonely because the children have not taken care of them, and children have not spoken to them for years, or they have not seen them. Therefore, it's important for us, when they, in the old age, they become the most in need of us. This time does not to leave them alone, it's time that to spend more time with them and to help them. Also, be even kind to the friends of your parents. People are going to say, Brother Magid, you're going too far. If I don't like my parents' friends, why should I be kind to them? We're asking you not to be mean. We don't ask you to become their friend. You know, what we're saying here that I have seen so many people, they disrespect their parents in social gathering, among their peers. They don't give them the respect that they deserve, or they mistreated their peers, the peer of their parents. And that's also not acceptable. And look to what Umar ibn Khattab, Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu, he saw a Bedouin. Then he saw him and was cheerful, said, Assalamu alaikum. And then he took his turban and put it in the man's head. The man is a poor guy. And Abdullah ibn Umar used to be well dressed, by the way. He used to be a very handsome man. He put his turban in the man's head. And he said, come and ride in my donkey. He took him from there and put him in his donkey. And somebody said, Ya Amur al-Mu'mineen, you have done too much. You could have given like some food or something like that. فَإِنَّ الْبَدُو, those Bedouin, يَرْضُوا بِالْقَلِيلِ. They like the little things, they be satisfied with it. What, your turban and put him on your donkey? Yani, you did too much, the man telling him. Of course, you know, even during the Sahaba, some people think that way. He said to him, you know who this guy is? He said, no. He said, this man, his father used to be a friend of my father. And that's why I'm just treating him this way, because my father used to like his father. That's how his bir of his father went beyond just being kind to his kinship, to your khala, which is, or mother side, or the amma, his father side, the sister. Went beyond that, even to the friends. There's something here I'm going to say very important. Sometimes children get into this politics or be between the two parents. For example, someone say his father abusing his mother or vice versa. And instead of telling one of the parents nicely, I think this is wrong what you're doing, is siding doing what? Siding one side against the other side. And it is important that to help our own parents to maintain justice, especially when you are grown, when you are, grown children, will be able to influence that. And also that no matter what wrong they have done, we cannot cut the relationship. Still, we have to maintain the relationship with them and the relationship of kindness. If your parents have passed away, we need to make dua for them, because our connection, the spiritual connection, is beyond the physical life here. And something very interesting in the Qur'an, say a righteous parent enter Jannah. The son enter Jannah, the son in the, or the daughter. The daughter in lower level, the mother in higher level. The mother said, I would like to have my child, oh Allah, with me. I'm the mother here in the higher level. I want my children to come with me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant that. That's guaranteed. You know, they said airline being upgraded. If your parents enter Jannah and you enter Jannah with them, if any one of you in different level, you'll be upgraded automatically upon the request. A person will say, oh Allah, my father in the lower heaven of Jannah, lower level of Jannah, oh Allah, bring him to higher level because I made it in the higher level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have them join together. And this is a verse in Qur'an, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَاتَّبَعَتْهُمُ ذُرِّيَّتَهُم بِإِيمَانٍ أَلْحَقْنَا بِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُم وَمَا أَلَتْنَاهُم مِّنْ عَمَلِهِم مِّن شَيْءٍ كُلُّ امْرِئٍ بِمَا كَسَبَ رَهِينٌ. And those who believed and their children follow them in the footsteps of being believer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have them join together. It's called, imagine this, family reunion in paradise. What a celebration, having family reunion in Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have all of you enjoy that, inshallah. Family reunion in paradise. I'm going to open it for questions, inshallah. Give me just a few minutes. Is there something that you want to ask during this thing? No, sorry. Okay. Teaching of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding our parents. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he, as I mentioned earlier, a man says, what is the best after order priority? He said, pray on time, be kind to your parents, and struggle for the sake of Allah, or making jihad in the cause of Allah. A man come to ask Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, my parents have died. What can I do for them? Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, pray for them, make istighfar, ask Allah forgiveness for them, fulfill any promise they have made before they die and they couldn't fulfill. Make it in their behalf. Whether they made promise to make Hajj, or they made a pledge to Ayden Center, take those pledges and come to ask them what kind of pledge my parents made. I'm going to take their pledges. Fulfill the pledge and promises. And also, he said, visit the relatives, your kinship. He said, in order for you to maintain the righteousness and birr, kindness of your parents, visit your kinship. Continue visiting your kinship. Of course, there's another section in relationship of silat al-rahim, being kind to kinship. Be generous and honor their friends. You know something? The moral conduct of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he set up an example that is so high, like a star in on the sky there. You look at it, and you, whenever you see it, you can be guided with it. Khadija radiallahu anha died. Rasul felt very sad of her death. But sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the love of Khadija, it's been shown in so many times when he talked about her. They say when he used to talk about Khadija radiallahu anha, his eyes light up. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But there's something very interesting. Rasul be sitting and somebody will knock the door. From the knocking of the door, he will say, this is the knock of a friend of Khadija. Innaha sahibatu Khadija. Then Rasul will get up and welcome the friend of Khadija radiallahu anha. And not only that, he will go and get a sheep and slaughter it and cut the meats to pieces and so forth. And he went by himself. He knocked the door of all the friends of Khadija. Those women who used to come and socialize in Khadija home, radiallahu anha, Rasulullah go and visit them, each one, and give them meat. They say if he did that to Khadija, the ulama driven from this, be kind to the friends and of your father. You know why? You know, one of the ulama told me in Sudan, imagine every time that you visit a friend of your father, said, Assalamu alaikum, I'm son of so-and-so, he used to be your friend. The first thing they say what? Rahamallahu abuk, rahamallahu ummak. May Allah bestow your mercy upon your mother. May Allah bestow your mercy upon your father. Immediately, they make dua. Because you remind them, your action itself make a person think positive of your parents. And have them make dua for us. And the ulama break it down for us. They say birr al take mother high priority in the relationship because of the hardship she went through, and then we'll come to the father in a minute. One of the companions asked to be given permission to be with the Rasul in defending Medina. Rasul asked him, is your mother alive? The man replied, yes, she is. Rasul said, go and be there under her foot, because under her foot is Jannah. He said, just be there, sit near her foot. Under that foot, you're going to see Jannah there. Rasul also, he talked about this very interesting hadith. A man by name Uwais ibn Amir. Uwais ibn Amir is a man from Yemen. Rasul have not seen this person. His name who? Uwais ibn Amir. Rasul said a man from Yemen, his name Uwais ibn Amir, will come to you, and he has this baras, and I think we translate it, I now forget the word. I looked at the dictionary to see what baras is. Huh? Leprosy. And he said, and Allah cure him from it, except a place of a ring, like to be a mark, because he was kind to his mother. Whenever you see this man, ask him to make dua for you. Then the man came during Umar ibn Khattab time, radallahu anhu. And Umar ibn Khattab asked him, are you Uwais ibn Amir? He said, yes. Are you from Yemen? He said, yes. Are you the one who have this skin disease? Yes. Are you the one who everything been cured except this ring, a place of a ring in his body? He said, yes. Used to have a mother that you be kind to her? Yes. He said, please ask Allah to forgive me and make dua for me. Uwais ibn Amir. Okay. You see, Rasulullah got to recognize this man, although he have not seen him, because of his relationship with his mother. Asma bint Abu Bakr also asked Rasulullah regarding her mother. Should, oh Rasulullah, my mother asked me to be kind to her. What should I do? And Rasulullah said, be kind to her. And they said her mother was not Muslim, some scholars said. And some scholars said she had relationship tension between her and her mother, and Rasulullah asked her to maintain a good relationship with her. The most famous hadith is the hadith when a man asked Rasulullah who the best person I should be in the company of. He said, your mother. He said, who else? He said, your mother. See, who else? Your mother. And then finally he said, your father. Therefore, Rasulullah put this emphasis in the relationship of mother and then also as well as father. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, I told you that mention why the mother is important, because of the hardship they go through. The relationship with father, and I said in America, they said fatherhood initiative. And by the way, respecting your father is something that I'm troubled with in American media. You remember what I said last time?
There was a study done.
Study done, what happened in the study?
Television shows the father figure is often ridiculed and made fun, the source of jokes.
Yes, most of the comedy and so forth, the father figure, and this made by the organization of Fatherhood Initiative, that the father always making fun of in comedy shows. That is something that is not wise and so forth, and that's not acceptable. Rasulullah said, be kind to your fathers, your children will be kind to you. And Rasulullah also said, maintain kindness in your relationship with your father, otherwise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take idhab nurak, that you will not be guided. Therefore you have to be connected to and being kind to them. Rasulullah also said, be kind to your parents and Allah will be kind to you. That is, if a person be kind to their parents, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show them kindness. He said, and do not displease your parents so that Allah will become displeased with you. Think to help us. These are the principles. Let me give you practical tips. First, we have always to have in mind what our parents went through to make to help us to be who we are today. The hardship the mother went through, the father. And remember, the treatment of our parents will influence how your children will treat you. The way that we treat our parents, it is the influence our children will treat us. If the children see that we disrespect our own parents, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is adl, is just, will compensate us by having our own children mistreated us. Therefore it's important, Rasulullah said, Birru aba'akum tabirrakum abna'akum. Be kind to your parents and your children will be kind to you. What goes around comes around. Children who have reached adulthood and the parents have to learn to understand each other. What meant by this? That is, if the children each reach the age of teens, or become adults in Islam, they don't consider them children anymore. The parents and the children have to be able to have open communication, to talk about what that young man going through, what that young woman going through, and to be able to communicate, to have a line of communications. Therefore, we should always have an open communications. And I would like to tell my young brothers and sisters here, always trust your parents of talking to them, but I'm asking the parents also to be open-minded and to build a trust where you have the children can be able to come and tell them what's going on. If the child makes their parents the best friend, and the parents be open-minded to say to their children, come to me with your problems. No matter how bad they are, I'm not going to take it personal. Because what happened most of the time, the parents take it personal. Said, how comes you did this? You disobeyed me. And they take it personal against the child. Sometimes we forget the child is a child. You know, I'm talking about young children, the youngest children. Therefore, we need to not to take it personal and to have a line of communication open with them. And that's why in America they said that many children, they hide troubles from their parents because they fear of the overreaction of the parents. Therefore, they keep hiding the problem until the problem explodes. Therefore, it is important for us to maintain good relationship with our children, and our children to maintain good relationship with us in line of communication. One of the problems we have Life is busy, isn't it? Who is his, all of us who are parents alive, whose parent passed away? And I have my both parents passed away. Okay. Quality time spent with them whether alive or were dead. And believe me, when a parent goes away, a person will think how much time that I wish I have spent with them. You know, how much I was not giving them quality time. And sometimes we think about the person after they're gone. But we can do quality time by making dua, supplications. We have to remember in our salah, it has to be a time located during salah to our parents for dua. Don't make all dua to ourselves. After salah, in tahajjud, we have to have time to the parents. There's nothing you can give your parents as a gift more than the gift of akhirah. Gift of dunya goes away. You give them a shirt, they wear it, and it's gone. The gift of akhirah, they get the dua, and it is deposited in everlasting benefit. Therefore, they need it more than anyone else. Therefore, we need, when they're alive, to spend quality time. And that's why I'm going to give a recommendation, inshallah, as you see here, that sometimes a person should put in the Palm Pilot, you know, time talking to my mother. Although you see them every day, but you say, I'm going to just have quality time with no distraction, no internet, no answering the phone. I'm just going to spend some time with my father, with my mother. And that is really established just good connection between us and our parents. And this is my advice to our young people. Make sure they have that quality time being spent with them. Sometimes we do not give our parents an impression that still we need of them in advice. The father said, son, everything is going fine? How is your work? My work is fine, alhamdulillah. How is school? School is fine. Everything is fine. And the parent says, how come this son does not talk to me? How this daughter does not talk to me? You know, you know how much, believe me, if your parents are alive, pick up the phone and call them if you are an adult and says, father and mother, I want, even if you are a man or a woman have your own children, pick up the phone if they are not here and call them, said, I need your advice in this. You know what happened? You cannot, if we can picture the emotional state of that person, you can picture them jumping. Like, wow, you know, I'm still important. I'm still needed, you know? And that, what is important is that to have a person, and that's why Abdullah ibn Umar, radiallahu anhu, he used to, Umar ibn Khattab, very wise man, is Khalifa of Mu'mineen. He doesn't have any problem with self-esteem. But when Abdullah ibn Umar come to him and ask him questions about things, he light up and said, Ya bunay, oh my son, that's what I think. Because he feels that somebody come to him with advice. You know, Asma bint Abi Bakr, radiallahu anha, was an old lady, lost her sight. Her son, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he faced this hardship fighting in Mecca. He went to whom? He went to his mother. He says, mother, I feel like I need to run away. I cannot do this. She said, why, son? Why don't you stand up and defend yourself and defend the city, Mecca? He said, oh, mother, I think that if I fight, those people, after I die, they're going to start making, they're called musla, make mark in my body, going to cut my nose, and they're going to play with my body. What the mother said, son, stand for what is right. What will happen to any sheep after being slaughtered if they do anything to his skin? Don't worry about it. Stand for what you... And imagine this mother, she was blind. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf hanged her son in the area of Kaaba. And she said, show me what my son is. They said, they brought her near it. His body is hanging. They said, it is here. He said, it's about time this night, this courageous man to be stepped down, be put down. Mean that it's time to bury him. Don't do that. Asma bint Abi Bakr, she gave that. Safiya, the aunt of Rasulullah, she used to advise her son, Az-Zubair ibn Awam, who was a very wise man. In a difficult time, he used to come back to his mother. And that's what you need to do, to feel that connection. And by the way, there's attitude. Sometimes parents are not important. And don't get affected by the culture, popular culture, where the parents are not important, the gang is important, the colleague is important, the work is important, everything is more important than them. Muslims should not do that. It's not what Islam teaches us. As you approach marriage, don't give them the impression that you can't wait to get away from them. Sometimes the parents, you know what, the parents sometimes don't let go in marriage because they see the son say, I cannot wait. And the mother all of a sudden feels jealous, naturally jealous. He said, what's wrong? He loves her more than he loves me. And that's why the competition is. Sometimes this struggle, this power thing, because the child was overexcited. You need to secure the psychological and emotional things. And that's how the war started with the mother and the daughter-in-law because of that, hidden competition. Am I wrong? I do counseling every day in this masjid, and I know that. Therefore, it is that competition sometimes between the mother and the same things for the daughter or the son toward their parents. And it is that a person should not give impression that is, now is about time that to be divorced from parent. If you feel your parents have wronged you or someone else, it's better to advise them and let them know that you feel how you feel rather than keeping it inside. Sometimes a child feel being wronged by their parents and they keep it inside and they start hating their parents. We encourage in counseling communications, and we encourage the parents, which is advice to the parents. I'm going to come to the parents in a minute. The parents should always have open heart. If somebody tell them nicely that I think that this is wrong, I think you should not have done this, and so forth, parents have to be merciful and kind to listen to what their children are asking. Now come to the in-laws. I'm going to tell you something that it is not wise not to strike a balance between your duty, I'm talking to the male now here, between the duty to your wife and the duty to your mothers. Sometimes people go too much to the mothers and mistreat the wife, or go too much toward the wife and mistreat the mother. And the wise person who will fulfill his or her obligation to their parents and fulfill their obligation toward the spouse, striking a balance. Give everyone their rights, but don't violate someone's rights in the expense of the other person's rights. That is clear, inshallah. Therefore, because I see a lot of tension in that regard, by the way. And sometimes the parents might wrong the spouse. A person should tell their parents not to wrong their own spouse, because that will affect the parents' akhirah. If my mother, Allah be pleased with her soul, would have to wrong my wife, commit injustice toward her, mistreated her, I will speak kindly to my mother. I said, my mother, this will affect your akhirah. Don't commit injustice toward her, because Allah is going to ask you in day of judgment about this. Not to say to my wife, no matter how much injustice committed toward you, let her commit it, because I have to save my mother as well, because Allah will ask my mother about how she treated my wife. Therefore, a person have to have that in mind. The advice to parents. Now we talked about children toward the parents. It is important that to remember we making the parents of tomorrow, our children, they are the parents of tomorrow, and they are the husband and wife of tomorrow, and the leaders of the society of tomorrow leaders. We have to make our best ability of raising them Muslims. And sometimes we don't take priority in that. You have to give them Islamic schooling, Islamic teaching. We have to make the environment in the home as an Islamic environment. We have to create an environment where the children can be attached to the masjid and attached to the Muslim ummah. Therefore, it's our responsibility as parents to do that. If we're expecting them to make dua for us after we die, we have to fulfill our responsibility toward them. A man came to Umar ibn Khattab and said, "Oh Umar, this son is aq, is disobedient, no good." And Umar ibn Khattab said to him, "How come you mistreating your father?" He said, "Yes, I may have wronged my father, but my father have wronged me many times." He said, "How?" He said, "Isn't Islam said my father have to teach me how to pray?" He said, "Yes." He said, "My father never did that." Isn't Islam said my father have to teach some of the Qur'an? He said, "Yes." He said, "My father never did that." Isn't Islam said that my father have to give me a good name? He said, "Yes." He said, "I have to give you the worst name, everyone making fun of me." I know what Umar said? You wronged your child before your child have wronged you. Therefore, we need to have that in mind, because sometimes we think as always there's one-way street. As you know, parent, children, but the parents have responsibility toward the children as well. Sometimes when we feel our parents, we abuse our authority, don't we? This authority of whatever I say goes. You know, as if child have no emotions. And that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was kind man. You know, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his relationship was Fatima, radiallahu anha. Every time he come from a trip, the first person visit, not his own house even, his house of Fatima, and he will kiss her in her forehead. First thing he would do. He was so loving father, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His children, like Fatima radiallahu anha, she was so attached to her father to the way that when he died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was buried, Fatima saw the Sahaba coming. Abbas radiallahu anhu and Ali radiallahu anhu. He said, "Did you bury Prophet Rasulullah?" The Messenger of Allah said, "Yes." He said, "Did you put dust on him?" They said, "Yes." He said, "How could you do that?" She couldn't imagine. He said, "Although death is death." He said, is this okay for you, emotional psychology, to put dust on Rasulullah's face? And he said poetry. He said, "ذهب الذين يعاش في أكنافهم وبقيت في خلف كخلف الأجرب." He said, "Those people whom I used to live under shade, they're not here anymore. And I left with no shade." Talking to her father. You know, Fatima radiallahu anha, when the Rasul was dying, he called her. He whispered in her ear. See how close a relationship a father and a daughter have? He whispered in her ear. She cried. And he called her back and he whispered in her ear, and she smiled. Aisha radiallahu anha asked her, Rasul was alive. She said, "What did he say to you?" He said, "No, I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you now." When Rasul passed away, she said, "When he called me the first time, he told me he think he would die in this sickness. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah would take his soul." I cried. Then he called me again and he said, "You will be the first person of my family join me." She smiled. Somebody tell you you're going to die, you smile? That's how much she loved him. She wanted to be with him. And radiallahu anha, she died 6 months after Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And she was first person from his family to die after him. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Therefore, that's how he had this kindness. Not only that, look to the kindness of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam given khutbah. In Adams, we don't have a member, therefore I cannot do that with my children. Otherwise, people even complaining that children in the masjid, unfortunately. But Rasul was given khutbah in the member. Hassan and Hussein came. Rasul stepped from the member. This is authentic hadith for those who would like to ask me. I didn't make up this. He went down, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he went down from the member. He took Hassan and Hussein like this. He brought them back and sat him with him. He said to them, "Subhanallah of the love of children. I couldn't help it seeing those two children coming for me to step from the minbar and to carry them and continue his speech. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You know the famous hadith, Rasul was sitting. Hassan and Hussein came, Rasul kissed him. A Bedouin, a tough man, a real father. He said, oh Rasulullah, you kiss your children? He said, yes. He said, I have 10 sons. I have never kissed any one of them. I have to be tough. I have to give them authority, like, you're there, I'm here, I'm the father. Rasulullah said, how comes there is no mercy in your heart? There's no rahmah? And that's why, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he lost Ibrahim, alayhi salam, some ulama say alayhi salam, Rasulullah cried. When he carried Ibrahim radiallahu anhu alayhi salam in his hand, his son, he cried. A Sahabi looked at him, saw the tears come from his eyes, said, even you, Rasulullah, cry? And why is that? Death is haqq. He said, this is the rahmah Allah put in the heart of people. And the tears express it. And he said, إِنَّ الْعَيْنَ لَتَدْمَعُ. Fairly sure the eyes will be full of tears. وَإِنَّ الْقَلْبَ لَيَحْزَنُ. And our heart will be full of sadness. وَإِنَّا لِفِرَاقِكَ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ لَمَحْزُونُونَ. And verily, O Ibrahim, for having us to be away from you, we feel deeply saddened by that. وَلَا نَقُولُ إِلَّا مَا يَرْضِ الرَّبِّ. But we say nothing but what that pleasing to Allah. إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. That's how Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave that all love to his children. And he treated them with that kindness, and his grandchildren. And that is the sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for all of us, how to deal with our own children. Therefore, a person should not abuse that authority, because it's a trust by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given to the parents. And sometimes the parents become difficult. Anything, they want to complicate the children's life because they want to tell them, I have the authority, you have nothing. I'm the father, I'm the mother. Therefore, it is not acceptable. Many times that we forget of the, is it Maghrib time?
I think so.
I didn't hear Adhan though.
We didn't hear either.
Why didn't you stop me, brothers and sisters? Subhanallah. Now I'm the third point, which is that I would like to emphasize on this, because this was the cause of problem in America between parents and first generation Muslims, Americans, meaning that children were born to parents who are immigrants. Or sometimes is that even if the children are Muslims, parents are not Muslims. Sometimes there's a tension there. And the problem is this, that the children have experience a new world than the parents did. You know, if you ask someone very old like myself, this is a joke by the way, what did you do when you were teens? What kind of environment do you have? I can assure you I'm old enough. In my time, there was no internet when I was a teen. Okay? And there was no cell phone. I can ensure that. And I would like to tell you that I have no experience whatsoever with Hollywood. It happened that I didn't used to go to a movie myself, but I didn't have experience with it. What they call it, soap opera? Soap opera, I didn't have experience with that. Jerry Fell, or what's his name? Jerry Springer and so forth. I have not seen those when I was teens. Okay? Or Reiki something. I was hearing this lady, was her name, very tough Jewish lady on the radio. What her name is a counselor, Dr. Laura. She said that don't have your children to listen to this trash. She's called it trash. Springer and so those kind of people. And very interesting, I heard on the radio, and my wife said, don't ever quote that, but I'm going to do that. You know, consider disobedient here. But the lady, her name Madonna, she said on radio, was interviewed, that she did not allow her children to watch TV, her child. Said because the TV is not good, have not good effect. And she's a singer, I think. Therefore, it is a problem that we do not realize there's a new world. The other thing is that the culture around us, the environment around us, and sometimes preferring culture over Islam. Culture become more important. I want my children to be more Sudanese than Muslims. Very important for me to be Sudanese. They have to eat malokhia and weka and to wear Sudanese robe. But I don't care about how Islam is. But as long as they know Sudanese song, as long as they know all Sudanese singer, as long as they speak Sudanese dialogue, I don't care about how much Qur'an they memorize. Culture become more important than Islam itself. Not only that, sometimes we want to create a Sudanese country in our house. The children, the minute they step in the house, you live in Sudan. The minute they step outside, you live in America. Very confusing, unfortunately. And the culture of Islam being lost. Islam is not the criteria here. Therefore, I would like to say very much to us as a parents that we have to remember to teach our children the culture of Islam and to make them proud being Muslims. But at the same time, we have to understand where they come from. And that requires, which is I'm going to give some suggestions, specific suggestions, to know the environment that surrounds your children, to understand where they come from. The problem is that we want to enforce Sudanese culture on the children who are not purely Sudanese, no matter what I wish. If I want them to be pure Sudanese, then let me raise them in Sudan. I can never get pure Sudanese children in this country. Forget about it. I know it. I don't live in illusion. I'm talking culture-wise. Because my children are exposed to American culture. But I have to teach them Islamic culture, Islamic teaching. I want my children to know Islam filtered from Sudanese culture. They have the best opportunity. They can know, brother, you can look to your children in their eyes and they can tell you that I don't think this is what Islam teaches. Are you really, do you mean this, or this is a Bengali culture or this Pakistani culture? Are you insisting on this? Even in the weddings, how we want to do our weddings, or everything else, we insist in certain things that the children disagree with it, and we make it as if it's make it or break it. It's halal, haram issues, and it's cultural. Therefore, it is important, there's a duty of the parents to understand what their parents, the children, I mean, they come from. The other thing is gap of generations. Even if you live in Sudan, or you live in Bangladesh, or you live in Egypt, there's a gap of generations. That what your children go through in schools is different than what you went through. In certain generation, smoking was a big thing. Now the issue of drugs is a problem. You know, therefore there's a gap of generations. You know, and we have to understand that as we raise our children. The other thing is that we hold so dear to our heart. That is our expectation based on the culture environment that we grow up in. My children has to marry Sudanese. My children have to participate in Sudanese functions, all of them. That doesn't mean that I should not have my children be proud of their culture. Nothing wrong with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, خَلَقْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. And upon my advice on my wife, and I think it is a very wise advice, I have to insist speaking Arabic to my children so that they be bilingual, speaking two languages. Let your children know Bengali language. Let them know Urdu language, because it's good to know other culture, language, and the culture of the origin. It's good to know that. But I would like to say that some people overemphasize on the cultural aspect of it, and they forget the principles of Islam. It's very important in order to save our children. What Allah says in Qur'an, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. Others who believe, protect yourself and your family from a hellfire. The fuel of it is men and stone. What would protect my own child from hellfire if I love my child dearly? I have to make sure that my child does not go astray. And I should not also, sometimes we become extra nice in having children go astray. Some people go to the extremes. I said, brother, why didn't you teach your children this? Or sister said, brother, they grew up in this culture, therefore, how can I tell them to pray? You should tell them to pray. You should teach your children how to pray. Don't become overwhelmed saying, okay, there's a distance between me and my children. I'm not going to expect them to pray because they live in America. I'm not going to expect them to fast because they live in America. Some people ask their children to break their fast because of physical education. Basketball becomes more important than pleasing Allah Himself. This is a problem also. Is the parents either go to the extreme in this way or extreme in that way? This is not acceptable. Practice Islam as it is. Which is Islam strike the balance between all aspects of life. For it is very important for us to have that in mind as we deal with our children. In this culture, children learn to be very much independent. And my advice to the children, again, sometimes individualism overtaken the concept of community and family. It's me, me, me. If it wasn't me, or my way or a highway, I can sacrifice my parents' relationship, my everyone's relationship, if it was not centered around me. And this self-centered culture or attitude is very destructive. Destroy families, destroy communities, and destroy nations. It creates dictatorship also. Therefore, it is very important for us that not to be as such. Okay? Learning to communicate. Communication is not about only language, symbols, not about is and was, but about what kind of cultural language that person speaks. For example, the parents who doesn't know internet, they don't know how it works, the children can be easily fall into the trap and troubles and problems. Because internet also exposes, there's so many things the internet is not good these days. You have to be familiar with the environment. You have to be familiar with what's going on here. It's very important. We have to remember that the children are the gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is Allah is the one who grants children. Therefore, we have to treat this gift as the best to our ability to be gentle with it. And many parents, they don't understand that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Qur'an, يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ. He creates whatever He wishes. يَهَبُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ إِنَاثًا. He gives whomever He wishes female children. وَيَهَبُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ الذُّكُورِ. And He gives whomever He wishes male children. أو يزوجهم ذكرانا وإناثا. Give them male and females. ويجعل من يشاء عقيما. You find some people don't have ability to have children. For it is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to cherish that gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Now I'm going to come to the issue of marriages. There's some parents if they don't pick up the wife or the husband, it's not going to be a good husband. He has to be picked by them. Therefore, they deny their children to pick their own spouse, and to force their children to marry someone they don't like. And the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam have said in the hadith, a lady came to Rasul sallallahu said, Ya Rasulullah, my father married me to his cousin so that he can elevate his status, to make better business deal, to look good. He gave me marriage. Rasul sallallahu said, do you want to separate from his spouse? He said, no, Rasulullah, I don't want to separate, but I want to teach other women that their fathers have no right to force them to marry someone they don't like. Okay? Or sometimes the otherwise, the mother still picking up the daughter. But at the same time, I want to give advice to the young people that as you go and select your spouse, don't dismiss the input of your parents. Don't disrespect them. Advice to the parents, don't abuse your authority. The children, don't disrespect your parents and disregard their input completely. Okay? Strike the balance between the two. Okay? Now, we have to fulfill our responsibility to our children. We cannot be neglectful of our own children, and then later, and in America now, they have this system to track fathers that they don't. It should not be even if we have divorced our people have been divorced relationship, they should not be go after them with child support and court to pay to take care of their own children. The children should not be used as something in the middle to play game with. That should not be the case. Children be used as to manipulate them to go against this father or against this mother. We should not do that. We should not subject the children to that. Many times we fail to respect our in-laws' children, our daughter-in-law, or son-in-law, and disrespecting them, feeling that, you know, they have taken our son away from us, our daughter away from us. Now we have to give them the respect because they become musahara. And this another, you can have a speak on different session about in-laws. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ مِنَ الْمَاءِ بَشَرًا فَجَعَلَهُ نَسَبًا وَصِهْرًا وَكَانَ رَبُّكَ قَدِيرًا. He says, it's the Allah who created man from water and made him family and extended family. And we have to strike a balance between the in-laws relationship and our relationship of our own. Very important. Sometimes we want the child to be a doctor, imposing the goal, our own goal, on the children. The child said, I love psychology. He said, no, you're born to be a medical doctor. I hate medicine. No, you should not hate medicine. There's no choice but to be a doctor. He said, I like engineering. No, engineering is not for you. You have to be a medical doctor. Seriously. And you impose so much on the children, and the children start feeling, and that I have children who went to depression because their parents impose a major on them they don't like. So much pressure on them. Therefore, we have to remember, we have to always encourage our children to have high goals. That's true. But you should not insist it has to be the discipline. And that's why Imam Ali, one of the tabi'een, he asked his son, he said, oh my son, who would like to be like when you become old? He said, oh father, I just want to be like you. You are isn't that nice? He said, yes, I want to be like you. You know what the father said? He said, son, that is wrong. He said, do you know whom I used to look up to when I was young? He said, who was the person? He said, Ali, Imam Ali. And he said to, oh son, and you see the gap between me and Ali. I'm afraid that you look up to me and the gap between you and I become the same as the gap between Ali and my son. They say in a nice saying, said, shoot at the star, you might reach what? The top of the minaret. صوب نحو الثريا لعلك تصيب أعلى المئذنة. We should encourage our children to have that dreams and that goals. But we should not emphasize and say, that's what I want you to be. If you not become other than that, you are failure. That's not acceptable. Okay. The respect the choice of the. I'm talking about children when they become adult, not my 4 years old. Although I ask her sometimes just to treat her. I said, what dress you want to wear today? But all the dress is what they're within the boundaries of Islam. Although 4 years old, no problem. Or you give them a choice. If you know your daughter or your son is allergic to milk, give them a choice of food, but don't put milk on it. I said, milk is not a choice because you're allergic to it. You can teach them those kind of things so that you give them some, even a respect to teach them how you can respect their choices. As long as the choice is within Islamic boundaries. You have to tell them there's some there's circle that is not included. Out of choice. And you have to enforce and to stick to that. Okay. Now, after people make choice of marriages, for example, husband and wife, you know how many complaints I get of married people that their in-laws interfere in their life? There's so many times that the wife start calling, the mother calling her daughter, said, well, how he's treating you? He said, ask him to give you more credit card because that's what you need. I think that you need to ask him to have this. Or the son, did she cook you for this rice? No, she doesn't know how to cook. Ask her to cook better than that. I feel so sorry for you, my son. I wish you were next to me. I can cook you better food. that kind of. And the child, the husband looked to his wife like, ah. Or the wife looked at her husband, you're not treating me nice. They were okay until that call came in. Okay? Therefore, we have to be careful not to create disturbance in other or children's life. Now, exercise. I want to really, everyone sitting in this class have a problem with his parents to make sure that he want to do good with their parents. No matter how wrong they say that Allah is three. Isn't that shirk? It's still Qur'an said, be kind to them. There's more than that. Somebody committing shirk. We have to make a decision today that no matter what disagreement we have with their parents, we cannot afford to cut them off. And at the same time, parents have wronged children for a long time. They need to reach out to their own children also. If your children are adults, wrong them, reach out to them. But I want to say that even if the father or the mother have neglected their duty to their children for a long time, and then the parents come around and say, I want to include you in my life, in American style, we say what? You were that long in my life, I don't know you. You have not earned the title of fatherhood. And that's what I disagree with Dr. Laura in her counseling. She said, if he was out of your life, do not even talk to him because he did not earn fatherhood. No. Fatherhood and motherhood is not something that you can divorce a person from, even biologically. If a person not fulfill their duty and come back and ask him for an apology and to be reunited, person should allow them to do so. And that was something I was brought to my attention, and I want to bring it to you. If we need to maintain that kind of relationship. But at the same time, I want to say that is fatherhood and motherhood is not about biological thing. It's not about producing children, but about raising them, about being responsible. There's certain things called the kins, the blood relationship. It does not go away. But in order to have it complete, that a person have to fulfill their duty toward children and raising them. Let us be the one who initiate reaching out to our parents. Even if they say, son, don't call here anymore. Daughter, don't hang up on you. He said, inshallah, I'm going to call here. At least they have a restriction order. And they have the, what do you call it, that things about the police? Protective order. Unless you're that bad, threatening them. But still you have to reach out and pick up that phone and call. And, you know, in Kuwait, a friend of mine, his name Jasim al-Mutawa, he did something very interesting. He declared one day, it called one rose for every mother. And their organization, they asked you, said, tell us where we would like you to send the rose to your mother, give us the address, we'll send it on your behalf. One day that whole Kuwait, the people, mothers getting roses from their children. And it changed the environment. Because some of them, they have not reached out to their parents, who they have not good relationship with them. They start thinking of it, you know. They have another day, they saw the kiss to the mother. That everyone got to kiss their mother between their and forehead, between her eyes, as something that want to remind people of how to be kind to their parents. Therefore, imagine if we start doing that ourselves. Advise parents gently. If you feel that you know more information than they do, you know more accounting, know more financial planning, you know more about the business, don't make fun of your parents or belittle them or say they don't know anything. You know, unfortunately in Arab culture, they use this word ajuz. They tell their parents, says, to make fun of the young people. Will be sitting, even in Sudan and other places, I've heard, they said, oh, my ajuz means my elderly, my old, you know, said in the mockery. That means, oh, those old people. My old people doing this to his parents, call them old people. My old people saying this, my old people saying that. My old folk. Folks? What do you call them? Old folks. Old folks. And instead of call them parents. Therefore, we have to be careful of that. The other things that I want to say in advice to us as parents, we need to sit and to look to the way that we communicate to our children. How much time did we spend quality time to our children, with our children? Do we give them real attention, or we're absent? Do we love and give them love and care? Do we hug our children and we kiss them and cuddle with them and take them out and play with them? Or we don't have time for them? We need to have that. And because the part of this, you know, maintaining this strong relationship with the children and with the parents is to show mercy and kindness both ways. And that's what we create a strong bond between us and our children and between us and our parents. I want to give you one example, maybe I said it last week, that a man that was carrying his mother in Hajj and saw Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, oh Rasulullah, she's my mother. So Rasulullah said, does not equal one moment of the pain of delivery. Don't tell me that you have paid her back. Okay? Therefore, a person should always think of it in that way. The other thing is that Rasulullah said that it is not one of us, the one who does not respect the elderly or become merciful on the young one. Therefore, we have to have that always in our mind. And this is the class of today about the parental relationship. And I allow some questions. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, I have some questions. Unless you want to go home, you have right to go home, but I have questions here. What do you think we need to learn as Muslims living in America in parenting skills? What are the things that everything is called must know as being a parent in America? Create a list and start telling me what must-do list being a parent in America.
I think you have to be aware of...
Learn to communicate.
What?
Learn to communicate with your kids.
Communicate. Learn communication. One. Good. What? Compromise. Learn to compromise, okay?
You have to be aware of like what your child is going through on a daily basis, the environment and surroundings.
Ask your children how was their day was. Every day, how do you feel today? How is school? Not like, children come like, put their bag there and go to their room, they like their room, and the fathers and the mother comes and people sit in the dinner table, don't talk. They just look at each other. Well, why is that? Seriously. I remember that one time I was giving this workshop in a conference for some perspective of counseling, and one father said, I have nothing to tell my children. It's about my business. And what can I tell them about business? I said, yeah, there's nothing in the house you can talk to them about. Nothing. Talk to them about their own life. Said, how is school? He said, I don't know. If I talk to them at school, always fight. Because the father looked for fault. How is school? Allah, today I made a mistake in math. How comes you make a mistake in math? And the child shut up. Like it's a fight. Conversation going to bring a fight. Therefore, avoid it. The policy, avoid. Because otherwise you're going to get more troubles. There's the 4 reasons people don't communicate. Fear of criticism. Feel that their opinion not be listened to. Feel that the person that they might talk to, they not give them feedback. They not, give them that comfort. And the 4th, I forget now. See, getting old. But anyway, you can tell me what the 4th is. But there's many reasons that people don't communicate, or a person is shut down. They feel that that's why they don't communicate. Therefore, it is important to communicate. What else? Yes.
Mutual respect of the child.
Mutual respect. Is somebody creating a list? I want somebody to take notes of what you're saying, because what you're saying, this is my constitution. I'm going to distribute to whole America. I said, this class produced this must-do list. What else? I want the children to speak to. Yes?
Maybe create a relationship.
Create a relationship. Develop a relationship. What do you mean by that?
Friendship and get to know them better.
Friendship. Develop a friendship. Make the children so trusting and said, Dad, today somebody asked me to take drugs. And I said no. The father said, wow. And that's what you went through today. It was tough for you. I was many times, and I'm going to tell whoever I told them that, I'm going to tell you all of you again. Many times I approached parents in this community and I said, listen, I do appreciate what you have done for your children. Having seen those children now as an active, as members of the Muslim community, I've said that deeply from my heart, because I can tell how much contribution those parents have contributed to the Muslim Ummah. When you open that relationship, make a friendship, when you see a child that chatting with his father, or a daughter chatting with his mother, or the son chatting with his mother and talking to her like a friend, you say, subhanallah, what a good relationship that mother has with her child. That connections, or the father. Therefore, this is what we're looking for, relationship. What else? Yes?
One of the things you could do a lot of things. You can do things with your children. Like me, I love physical activity. So sometimes myself and Mujahid, we can go to the gym, Rokai, the Sumaya, and we can talk, we can discuss things.
Pick up a hobby that the child like. If the child wants to go to soccer, playing soccer, go with them, drive them, and then be there in the field, and the child will say, oh, in the way you're driving them, you talk to them. The way you pick them up, you get the time to spend with them, and you enjoy them, having them seen playing. That's important. Yes?
It's not really between kids and their parents, but it's also very important for parents, like the mother and the father, to have a good relationship for the kid to come out healthy. Because if he does not have a good relationship with his spouse.
Good. to have a good relationship with the parents have to set up a model and example for their own children, from father and mothers. Excellent. Yes.
Honor their opinion.
Honor their opinion. You know, it is important that to say why you think that way. And something very interesting, that Rasulullah will be talking to 10 years old. You know what we do in America with 10 years old is a kid. Or in America, maybe they give him more respect than we do some in Muslim countries. 10 years old cannot even eat with adults in the same table in some country. That he has to sit or she sit next place and eat in the kitchen while the father eating with the adult. We never teach it. Rasulullah used to have the little children, sitting with him and teach them how to eat. And one of the children, small child, they eat from the same pot. And it will be eating in front of this person and eating, missing the whole thing. And Rasulullah said something very nice. He said, Ya ghulam, oh young boy, kul biyaminak, eat with your right hand. Sammillah, say Bismillah before you eat. Kul biyaminak, eat with your right hand. Wa kul mimma yalik, and eat from what is near you. Very nice, and become a hadith. 10 years old Ibn Abbas. Look at this, very interesting things, and that was come to the point the sister was saying, when you have a ride with them, have a conversation with them in the car. The car sometimes is the best time to have a conversation with children, by the way. Because both of you are stuck with one room, and then you have to talk. He's 10 years old, was riding behind Rasulullah in his camel. Take it as a car, okay? Riding behind him. Rasulullah took the ride as an opportunity to teach the young man something. Ibn Abbas, his cousin, the son of Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas. He said, Ya ghulam, oh young man, I'm going to teach you a few words. Inni wa'allimuka kalimat. يحفظ الله يحفظك يحفظ الله تجده تجاهك إذا سألت فاسأل الله. Beautiful thing. He said, oh my dear son or ghulam, young man, I'm going to teach you a few words. I'm not going to make it too long, boring for you. It will be a nice conversation. I'm not going to lecture you. Few words. Be with Allah, Allah will be with you. Be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you find Allah in your help and your aid. If you ask Allah. If you seek for aid, seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he gave him like what confidence. He said to him, oh young man, you must know if whole world gathered in one place to want to harm you, and Allah said no to it, they will not be able to harm you. If all of them gathered want to give you something, Allah said no to it, they will not be able to give it to you. 10 years old. Have the conversation with him like that. It is important for us to teach the children or to have a relationship and communication with them in a way that the children feel important. Feel that we do not dismiss them. And that's, I think, from the sunnah of Rasulullah. No matter how much book I've been reading for parenting. By the way, my wife, I don't know, she's there. That is, we have, sometimes I go and buy something said, raising a daughter, or raising this and that. You read those books, but when you come back to Rasulullah life, you find that Rasulullah have given a comprehensive way of dealing with children. Comprehensive. You know, we have not looked at it, and that's why Dr. Iqbal Yunus told me something very interesting. He said he went to look to concept of leadership in Qur'an, and every time he looked, he found something new in it. And he said because Qur'an, you can come to Qur'an for guidance for every aspect of life, and whatever you look for it in that guidance, that particular aspect, you find the guidance. Say, if I like to look in the Qur'an, how the Qur'an deals with financial issues. And because I'm a businessman, I come to the Qur'an, I find volumes of things. I find the hadith volume of things. Then I learn how to be a better businessman. As a parent, come and consult the Qur'an and I find volume of things. As a husband, as a wife, to come to the Qur'an, you find plenty of things there. As a child, plenty. Therefore, we come to it second, consulting the Qur'an for guidance. What else? What do you think? I'm really enjoying your comments, guys, because I have to learn from this. Yes.
Parents should know who their child's friends are.
You hear that? She said you have to know the friends of your children. This is advice given by all counselors in America. You must, this is a must, to know your children's friends. Because children's friends has great influence on them. This is must. Yes. Amara.
Parents' friends.
What?
Get to know the parents of those children's friends.
The parents, the family, where the friends come from. That's important. Also, not only the individual, but the family background. Yes.
Hang out with your children and listen to them and pay more interest in their lives.
Yes, let them talk about their life and show interest in their life. What they're concerned about. Yes.
Just to add to that, I mean, sometimes the parents tend to give really long lectures, and so I mean, the kids just learn to tune them out, you know. So I mean, it's got to be kind of a give and take.
Yes, you know, after 20 minutes, people lose concentration. But alhamdulillah, you've been very good. Listen to all of these hours. You know, sometimes you see the child. You know, I remember that one time that I have asked my daughter. I was in the office, and my daughter came, and I was in the meeting. And then I said to my daughter, I made a mistake myself. I said, I want to sit there and be quiet. The person with me in the office said, you're expecting too much of her. How should you expect me to sit quiet? I said, Adil, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. I said, you can do these activities. I gave her then crayon and said, color here and write here. Because sometimes you're expecting too much of the child. And you get distracted by it. I said, sit there, don't move. That is impossible. It's not a prison. Don't move. Don't say this. Yeah, you have to be reasonable in your expectation as well. Yeah.
You gotta lead by example.
Live by example. Don't say something that yourself you don't do. Don't smoke. Brother, son, smoking is very bad. And you have it in your hand. The son is not going to believe in it because you have it. You know? Or the parents say don't drink. And very interesting in America, the parents tell the children, don't drink until you're 23. But alcohol is in the table where people are having dinner. What is that about? You know?
Parents don't pray and they expect their kids to pray.
Yes. Or ask them to pray. Or you drop a person drop their children in Sunday school, and the Dhuhr time is being prayed at Adams, and they still sit in the car waiting for them to come out. And why don't you go and pray? It's important the child see the parents in the house, in the masjid. That's very important. What else? What's unique about raising children in America? I want you to say something regarding also, yes.
The amount of freedom a child has.
The amount of freedom. You have to understand that if you are immigrant parents, you start raising children back home and then you come to America, you have to remember the environment that you're throwing the children at. Okay? Therefore, you have to understand that as well. And even the way that is, some parents, the way that they discipline the children. You know, Rasulullah never beaten, never beaten a man or a woman. Okay? That we have to also be careful of that. What else?
You have to be very active, like if your child is in public school, you have to be involved in, what is really happening, the activities and so on. So you have to be as every Muslim should be a da'iyah, we have to be very active, we have to be involved.
Get that school calendar, absolutely. Get that school calendar, become part of PTA, become part knowing what's going on in the school. That's very important. Yes?
It's important that the parents understand the Americana culture and the types of things that the kid is going to hear later on in life. So, like for example, in America it's common that a child is rebellious at the age of 15 and 20. So if the parent addresses that when the kid is 10 and 12 and explains that you don't necessarily have to be rebellious when you're young, and you address it before he gets to that age where he's supposed to be rebellious.
Absolutely. The 16th birthday in America is a big thing. I have the biggest cake ever. I have now to do this. 16 is a big thing, isn't it, in America? Yeah, because,
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's for girls.
Oh, for girls? Okay. Okay. You see, now I'm learning some culture. I have to watch it out. I have 3 girls. Okay. Now, what else? Okay. Now let me flip the coin a little bit. What do you think we should do, or children should do to parents? For us, for all of us, what do you think we should do to honor our parents? What are the things that I have not included in this discussion? Things that we missed out in the class Yes.
I think, you know, a lot of children that grow up in America end up belittling their parents' culture. Like, Mom, you know, don't tell me that this is the way to do it there, because like I'm in the first world country. I don't need to know what they do in the third world country. I mean, like I've heard that right from a kid that I thought was like a great kid, and he said that right to his mom's face. And I was like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, it is important not to belittle or to think that your parents come with no experience whatsoever. You are the one who have all the technology or all the information or all of that. That's not acceptable. Good. What else? What should we do?
I think that the one thing that I want to say is, as time goes on, you know, kids know a little bit more than what parents sometimes understand. Their knowledge of awareness is a little bit more. So sometimes, you know, to communicate with each other and let each other know that, you know, I know this much, and the father says, no, you don't know this. A lot of times the kid knows a lot more than what the parents think.
This is a very good point. I'm going to tell you a hadith from that. Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu was sitting with the companions, and his son Abdullah ibn Umar was sitting. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, which tree that like a believer is always is good, has good roots and very, very good fruits? None of the Sahaba knew it. Then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's a palm tree, nakhla. Abdullah ibn Umar going back to his father home, said, Dad, you know what? I knew the answer. The father said, why didn't you say so? He said, I didn't want to say that in front of those people. He said, you know, son, if you had said it, I would have been the most happiest father. I could have been very proud of you. Therefore, the son should not get intimidated. And sometimes that happens in formation of Islam. Some parents don't accept the advice regarding Islam because it comes from their children. If the child said, Dad, I think it's time to pray. Who are you to tell me to pray? Remember that I'm your father. What's wrong with you? You know, that's it. The advice cannot come from the child. Therefore, it is important that is a person look to the advice or the opinion in the merits, not because whom it come from. You might have a small child give you advice that use it for the rest of your life. You know, and that is something that Allah gave to Isa alayhi salam. Mother carrying the child, and Allah said to her, don't talk, point to the child. The child will defend you. فأشارت إليه, baby in the cradle. قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا? How can you talk to a child in the cradle? قال إني عبد الله. The child said, I'm the servant of Allah. آتاني الكتاب, give me the book. وجعلني نبيا, he made me a prophet. وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت, and he put blessing upon me wherever I may be. وجعلني مباركا وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة, and advised me and to establish prayer and zakah. صلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا, as long as I live. وبرا بوالدتي, this mother carrying me, and Allah ordered me to be kind to her. وبرا بوالدتي لم يجعلني جبارا شقيا. Therefore, it is important that, you know, and you know, remember that hadith of Rasulullah sallam said, تكلم في المهد ثلاث. 3 people spoke when they're young. Isa ibn Maryam and other 2 people. One of them is the child of a lady of the people of the ditch, Ashab al-Ukhdud. This king of Yemen, he decided to kill the believers. He said to them, either you disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or I'm going to throw you in this fire. A woman carrying a small child, she was worried about to jump, and her child said, Mother, you are on the truth. Jump on it, don't worry about it. A baby. Give the mother advice. Okay? Therefore, it is important for us to look into this, responsibility of being able to listen to the advice come from the children. I don't think that you have it all. What else? The way that we...
When we were talking about parents have to be their children's friend, the friendship can only go so far, because some parents want to be their child's friend to a point that they're not parents anymore. So kids have to listen to their parents. There's a time for friendship, but there's time for parenting as well. So you can't blur the distinction so much that it's meaningless?
That's a good point. Sometimes parents become too loose, as I said before. The children said, I want to go to this dance. The parents say, okay, let's go for it. The children said, you know, there's a party, I want to go to it. Even the party crossing all the sound boundaries, the parents said, no, you know, in America, you cannot do that. I said, in America, there's many people who are not Muslims, they send to the children, no. It's the wrong thing. Therefore, some Muslims get too loose. That's a good point. You know, people should not confuse that. Okay. What else? Good. I think this list, maybe Adams can, inshallah, take it from his tape and create something print out from it so that we can use it as tips in our parenting classes at Adams. Jazakumullah khair. It's been very interesting sessions, learning a lot from you, not necessarily, you know, my own information, but every time I get the feedback, I get to leave this class with a lot of information. And I promise you, inshallah, next week, I will have more time for discussions because, guess what? I'm going to discuss husband-wife relationship and in-laws, extended family. Therefore, bring all the friends you can bring. Let us, inshallah, have good discussions about it. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.